That's not fair. You're not.
Holy cow! I'm totally going so fast. Oh fuck!
Punk.
Oh my god! I don't know what to do. What do we do?
Hey, what the fuck are you kids doing on my fucking lawn? And don't look at me when I'm fucking talking to you.
Help
Get
me,
that kid off my
help.
eyes, you little wankers. Alright, give him the stick. Don't give him the stick.
Do you know my dad?
Oh, G.I. Joe!
Fucking old school.
Damn! These beats are so fresh. Snap!
G.I. Joe!
In our private chat with only members, several are saying the only way to save our republic is for Trump to call for martial law. Martial was not spelled.
Keep going with the text message.
I don't know on those things. I just wanted you to tell him.
I don't know on those things. Is that what that says? It says I don't know on those things.
But why
Wait,
even
hold
bring
on,
it up?
stop. This text message that's supposedly mine, I don't know if it is.
Supposedly mine, I don't know if it is.
What does it
Right.
say? It says some members, and then it
But
says,
why
wait, hold
bring it
on.
up?
It says I don't
That's
know.
my idea.
Wait, I don't know if that's my text. It says I don't know on those things. Why don't you tell that story?
You're
No.
saying you don't
No,
know if
you're
it's your text,
lying.
but you're being
You're a
awful
liar.
defensive about
You know
it.
why people do not like
Why are you being so
Because you're a
defensive about it?
liar.
I'm
Why
not
do you
a
want to
liar.
lie on television for
I'm
your viewers?
I'm not trying to lie.
No, you're trying
I'm
to
trying to
accuse,
ask you
No, you're
about-
accusing me of something, and then when you read the actual words, it tells another story.
G.I. Joe!
And I'd like to dedicate this one to Punks for Progress. Punks for Progress.
This is for comrades and Punks for Progress. Punks for Progress stand for anarchy. Fight for your liberty. We don't want your government. We don't need your services. I'm an anarchist. I'm an anarchist.
Punks for Progress on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks, brother.
That sounds right up my alley.
That was a good day when you hear a punk say the word righteous.
Hey fam, welcome to Punks for Progress. I'm Emma Progress, and this is the What the Fuck report for May of 2022. In this episode we have a ton of deets on upcoming direct actions that you can get involved in, as well as report backs on past actions. That means we have a brand new So-Cal Shannon scene report, wherein Shan gives us the lowdown on the current, tremendously important, fight for women's bodily autonomy, what's being done on the street about it, and what you can do to get involved. And, as always, she's got important deets on other upcoming street actions and punk rock gigs. We also have a 4-part report back from our comrades over at Punks4 Progress Indiana, critical thought critique on what they have been getting involved in terms of organizing a tenants union and striking. They get us up to speed on their work with Indiana Department of Corrections Watch, or IDOC Watch, and the work they are doing in solidarity with political prisoners as well as combating the extreme levels of racist inhumanity so prevalent in the Indiana Department of Corrections. And that's only about half of their report. We also have another new installment of Reading Revolution. In this segment we read A Special Appeal to All Who Consider Themselves to be Revolutionaries, by Stuart Christie from A for Anarchy, a Stuart Christie Reader. And, lastly, among other hidden surprises, we have a brand new example of pure audio-visual art destruction from our comrades over at the Beach Blanket Death Camp. Yay, fam, it's the What the Fuck report. Now check out this punk rock video.
There wasn't this many people a few hours ago. Where's y'all come from? That's what's called Napalm.
All this violence we are witnessing, all this brutality rising, is the system failing once again. The system of capitalism, chewing people up, then spitting them out. No, this is not a democracy, nor has it ever been. All the people have never been represented. This has always been a Christian colonial theocracy, sold on the lie of religious freedom. Slaves and oppressed migrants built this country. The American dream is achieved by slave labor, by slave wages, by too many brothers and sisters in cages. This is the American dream. You and I were never part of the scheme. Hey fam, it's So-Cal Shannon with your scene report for the month of May. I want to talk about what's up with Roe v. Wade. Rise Up for Abortion Rights had national actions this past month, and they continue during the month of May every day leading up to the national action on May 14th, because the Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe sometime in June. This is an urgent emergency. If you haven't heard, state by state, abortion bans are taking place. Nowhere worse than Kentucky. I might add, God damn. Lead organizers from Rise Up for Abortion Rights held a die-in in Louisville, Kentucky on April 22nd. And of course, the Christian Fast showed up. These men want to control women. They want to silence us any way they can. We know they can be, and often are, violent. So I'm asking all of y'all to show up in solidarity. Go check out riseup4abortionrights.org. That's riseup4abortionrights.org to volunteer, donate, or start a chapter of your own. And then get active. We deserve legal, free, safe, accessible abortions on demand without apology. Stay strong and let's squash this patriarchy.
Protesters on both sides of the abortion debate collided in downtown Louisville today. The group Rise Up for Abortion Rights was met by members of local churches on the front steps of Metro Hall. Wave News reporter David Ochoa was at the rally and has more from both sides.
Yeah, the event was put together by Rise Up for Abortion Rights to protest the abortion law vetoed by Republicans last week. They were met by counter-protesters who heard about the rally a couple of days ago. And what was meant to be a one-sided affair turned into a combination of equally passionate protests.
Abortion on demand! And without apology!
The rally was put together in response to the state law that effectively eliminated abortions in Kentucky. The law has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge, and the news broke as the protests began. And organizers say while it's a win for today, it's not a solution.
But women were told that their lives, their plans, their hopes for their future didn't count for anything. They were going to be forced to have children against their will, whether they wanted to or not.
Their pro-abortion chants and slogans were met with shouts from the opposition.
What about the sisters in the room? We're out here to speak for children, for the children of Louisville, Kentucky.
These little children are precious gifts from God.
Nolan says he isn't surprised that the law was blocked. He called it weak.
We need to totally abolish abortion. We need to outlaw, we need to be a sanctuary city that protects the lives of children.
But there are people who think this way, who sit in the state legislatures, who sit on the courts, who are gunning for the rights and the lives of women, and they have as much contempt for women's lives as these people do.
There were just over 4,000 abortions performed in Kentucky in 2020. Over half were done by women aged 20 to 29.
When abortion was illegal, women died. Women's lives were shattered, and we will not go back.
News of the law being blocked, Kentucky Planned Parenthood CEO Rebecca Gabron said in a statement, quote, "This is a win, but it is only the first step. We're prepared to fight for our patients' rights to basic health in court and to continue doing everything in our power to ensure abortion access is permanently secured in Kentucky." Rise Up for Abortion Rights is planning a week of action for abortion rights next month, ending with a unified day of protest on May 14th. Live in the studio, David Ochoa, Wave News.
Hey fam, it's So-Cal Shannon, and it's May Day! You know what to do. Go out there and give the bosses hell. And if you don't know what to do, look up your local IWW for an event or action near you. On Saturday, April 30th, IWW's annual May Day March and Rally in Belfast. Assemble at 11 a.m., followed by general meeting at 2 p.m. Check out IWW Belfast for more information. And Sunday, May 1st at 12 p.m., it's International Workers' Day Fair, hosted by Neighborhood Anarchist Collective, IWW, Eugene DSA, and The Insurgent at Downtown Park Blocks, East 8th and Oak Street, Eugene, Oregon. Also, May 1st, International Workers' Day of Action at Chicano Park. In the War of the Working Class. Starts at 9 a.m. in San Diego, California. And Tuesday, May 3rd, globalmayday.net and IWW Global brings you Fruits of Our Labor, an online film screening followed by a Q&A with director Emily Cohen Ibanez. May 5th through May 15th, Wayne Kramer, the Heavy Lifting Tour. We are all MC5. The 5th in Detroit at El Club, the 6th in Pittsburgh at Thunderbird, the 7th in Philadelphia at Underground Arts, the 8th in Brooklyn at Warsaw, the 12th in Sacramento at Harlow's, the 13th in San Francisco at Bimbo's 365 Club, the 14th in Los Angeles, the Roxy Theater, and finally the 15th in San Diego at Soda Bar. Check the clubs for times and admission prices. Saturday, May 14th, it's Throw Rag with guest The Vultures at Alex's Bar in Long Beach, California, 2913 East Anaheim Street. Show starts at 8 p.m., $15 to get in, 21 and over. More bands are to be announced, but a little birdie told me that the Antivirals will be performing at this show. That's it for now, fam. And remember, fascism rises when we ignore the political climate that gives rise to it.
Billy, you think I can have some more?
Yeah, we should totally hit it again, but I get first dibs on it.
To me come off, first me nearly dead with laugh. I watch the people rush the door like a batch of choco. Fun time there, time for the bus ride. Sunshine there, a time for the bus ride. Sunshine there, a time for the bus ride. Fun time there, a time for the bus ride. No! G.I. Joe!
So Reverie Tenants Union was founded last year in response to a local corporate slumlord called Reverie Estates. Their buildings are uninhabitable, unlivable, and infested with numerous problems of water damage. Pests are not controlled well. On Friday the 15th, there was a fire. It's almost certainly a case of electrical faults. A lot of these buildings were built and still have cloth wrapped wiring. So any kind of frayed wire or loose spark within the electrical system can easily start fires. The building also did not have fire alarms installed in the halls, which is also a fire code violation. But most importantly, the tenants whose apartment caught fire, they were okay, but all of their pets were killed in the fire. They had a total of 3 animals, and they were understandably completely devastated. We heard about the fire because we had a contact within that building that told us about it. So we went to investigate it. We being basically the steering committee of the Tenants Union. And when we saw the room, it's totally black. The entire floor smells like smoke. It's kind of hard to breathe if you're not wearing a mask. The neighboring apartments all smell like smoke, and the process of putting out the fire had basically the entire building was sopping wet with water in all of the carpets, as well as on all of the tile staircases. So we kind of just went around and asked people if they needed help and collected contact information to keep in contact with them and let them know about like upcoming general meetings that we're trying to have among tenants. Also, in terms of that fire and the process of putting it out, an apartment below the apartment that caught fire actually flooded, ruining a bunch of like their belongings, and they had to find like emergency shelter and leave, as did everybody on the floor where the fire happened. So yeah, that's what's been happening recently. Other things that Reverie has taken upon itself is taking on several street demonstrations last year, as well as a rent strike that was participated in by a little over 30 people across the different buildings. So Reverie Tenants Union has a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page. Both of them are just called like Reverie Tenants Union, Reverie, Reverie, Tenants Union, all is one word. And yeah, we'll be posting updates and continued exposures of like the heinous and unlivable conditions at the different buildings in Indianapolis.
Tanisha Chapman, 23, was booked on suspicion of shoplifting charges from an outlet mall, followed by a police chase in which Tanisha drove off from the original officer due to the fact that he pulled a gun. A ridiculous bond of $50,000 was initially set for Tanisha, and she was in holding at the Jackson County Jail. This occurred on May 26th. She was in jail under suspicion. She was only being held. She was not convicted of anything at this time. Tanisha Chapman was one of only 2 Black people in the openly racist jail. She was surrounded by inmates who openly threatened her, called her racial slurs, placed nooses in her cell, and who have since discussed poisoning her. Tanisha suffered through months of targeted racism. One inmate had stated that should have been moved a long time ago for her own protection. Another inmate openly admitted to calling her racial slurs. In a call to her family, she says, "You know what a cop just told me yesterday? He said, you know what the easiest way to get away with murder?" And she said, I was like, "No, what is it?" And he said, "Be a cop." She ended that conversation with her family saying, "I just got to get out of here before I end up on the news. I've been trying to warn you all. Oh my God, it's effing scary." Days later, on July 16th at 1:30 a.m., she started telling the box, which is the guard box, that she needed help, telling them that her stomach was messed up, that she needed a nurse, that she needed to go to the hospital. And they kind of blew it off. But she also had said that she was throwing up blood and she had filled her garbage bucket. Inmates all heard her moaning and begging for help. And an inmate said, "We were all laughing at her." By 3 a.m., a guard said he called his sergeant and that a nurse would see her in the morning. By 9 a.m., she called in again saying she was throwing up in her sleep, still calling over the intercom, repeating that she needed help and begging and pleading. By just around 11 a.m., she was stripped down, holding herself up over a large garbage can, and then collapsed. Guards came in to check on her, threw a blanket on her, but decided she was faking. At 2:30, a nurse comes in to check on her and refused to really observe her until she got dressed. By 3 o'clock, she was still collapsed on the floor, naked, and they're still accusing her of faking. Finally, at 3:30, an ambulance is called and comes to get her. This is 16 hours of waiting to find some help before an ambulance finally came. She passed away 2 hours after getting into the hospital. An autopsy of Tanisha identified toxicity or poisoning as the cause of death. Investigating officers did little to find the source of poisoning. as any family members would be, they're completely distraught, and they hired a few lawyers that are pushing along the investigation. Now, the original investigation, come to find out, the prosecutor is friends with the sheriff and found nothing wrong at the prison. She leaves behind a mother, a sister, and a daughter, and obviously all of them are extremely upset and want answers. The lawyers that they hired ultimately said that the only way anything would actually take place to create change is if people got out in the street and demanded a better investigation, and also demanded that policy on, helping sick inmates get changed. So every Tuesday is Tuesday for Tanisha, calling for people to get out in the streets and demand justice for her. So for those who would like to have more information, you can go to the website justicefortanisha.com. Indy 10 Black Lives Matter has an action alert. Join us every Tuesday as we demand justice for Tanisha. It takes 2 minutes, and that's on Facebook. They're demanding the immediate firing at a minimum of Ed Rattan, Tammy Baxter, Clayton Bannister, Raya Smith, Mark Reynolds, and Wendy Bashirs. Each of these individuals showed blatant disregard for Tanisha's needs and her rights and her overall health and safety. They're also calling for a comprehensive outside and independent audit of the sheriff's department because there is clearly a systemic problem among the officers and training assessment for culture and development. There's also a petition for demanding justice for Tanisha. This month marks the 1-year anniversary of the Indiana FedEx shooting. And today to talk with us about it is our very own Jeff.
Hey, bro. Brandon Hull on April 15th, 2021, showed up to work with a rifle and shot 8 of his coworkers. This was a murder-suicide, and they've all died. 4 of the coworkers are from the Sikh community, and they are pushing a lawsuit. The Sikh community believes that this all could have been prevented. Brandon's mom has been seeking help for him for many years. Him and his mom had an incident that led to a fight and her getting harmed. She took it upon herself to try to get her son more help. She talked to a member of the FBI Joint Task Force in April of 2020, and they came to try to look at Brandon's computer, and the FBI and police department found about 200 files of neo-Nazi propaganda. Brandon's mom was concerned. Sheila Hull was concerned about this. That was part of her reasoning for calling the police, was because of what she found on the computer. Nothing came of that, and Brandon's mom and the Sikh community both believe that those were plenty of red flags. The Sikh community is asking for $2.1 million for the 4 Sikh families that have harmed during this process. They haven't had any response from Marion County IMPD or the prosecutor's office toward the lawsuit, and now they filed suit, and that's where we are.
On Wednesday, April 13th, 2022, 1,700 plus graduate workers went on strike from Indiana University in Bloomington. We had a chance to catch up with them, and this is what they had to say.
I mean, we didn't have any raise for the past 5 years. There have been promises from the administration about giving us more benefits, but many of them are not followed through. And we feel that at this point, that really our financial security is really hurting our ability to contribute to undergraduate education at IU. And that's why we feel that, we start this movement partially for us, also the other side that also partially for the undergraduate education that we are participating in. The decision to go on strike is a collective decision. That's why we continuously hold these vote of continuation every week. And if our members still feel that we are being mistreated, we are still being abused, we are going to continue on strike. But it is important to understand that it's a fully democratic decision.
The workers are affiliated with the Indiana Graduate Workers Coalition and United Electrical Workers. The strikers, research assistants, and associate instructors make up almost half of the 4,000 graduate workers at IU. The salaries at Indiana University can be as much as $20,000 below a living wage, as a calculator developed by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology lists for Monroe County, Indiana.
On the 21st, IDOC Watch reported that prisoners on the secure housing unit at Wabash Correctional Facility had once again been raided and deprived of nearly every item in their possession. Clothes, hygiene products, books, pillows, and their tablets had all been taken without reason. Prisoners on the SHU had just recently been able to repurchase items that were illegally taken from them last October, when prison staff eliminated all rights afforded to administrative segregation. Now those items have been taken as well. They had been left with dirty clothes, used soap and deodorant without any means of communication. The October raid, they said, was devastating. Several inmates on the SHU announced intentions to begin a strike until their items had been returned. On the 25th, word was received that some of the clothes items and the tablets have been returned thanks to phone calls. However, the vast majority of property, including many necessary items, are still confiscated, and IDOC Watch is calling on people to keep calling at this time. For more information on that, please visit idocwatch.org. And here are your random events.
Cool. Hey, I want to check this out. Cool. Hey, can I try that? Oh, what? Hey. Oh, you're not my friend.
I'm just kidding with you.
Hey man, who's that weird dude you're talking to, bro?
My friends are here. Oh, cool. So, see you later.
G.I. Joe.
A special appeal to all who consider themselves to be revolutionaries. From A Life for Anarchy, a Stuart Christie Reader, edited by the Kate Sharpley Library. Without freedom, there would be no equality, and without equality, no freedom, and without struggle, there would be neither. Stuart Christie. Stuart Christie, 1946 to 2020, is best known for his involvement in the anarchist resistance to the Franco Federation in Spain. He also co-founded the anarchist Black Cross, Black Flag, and Cienfuegos Press, among many other publishing ventures. This collection of articles has been put together as a tribute to his life by the Kate Sharpley Library Collective. It contains some of his short political writings from the anarchist, radical, and mainstream press, and some of his tributes to his friends and comrades. The final section contains a selection of tributes friends and comrades paid to him. This book is not meant to be a crash course in modern anarchist history, but simply a tribute to our friend who dedicated his life to self-managed collectivism, individual freedom, solidarity, and fun. A special appeal to all who consider themselves to be revolutionaries. When Stuart Christie and Albert Meltzer revived the anarchist Black Cross, their aim was to encourage solidarity with prisoners of the Franco regime, but also revolutionary action. The ABC encouraged direct connections of solidarity rather than collecting and forwarding donations themselves to avoid creating a charity or a bureaucratic organization. While they could publish the names and addresses of prisoners, this would not work for the resistance. This article asks revolutionaries for concrete solidarity in the form of financial support for the resistance in Spain. We were conscious that when we began the work of the anarchist Black Cross, once more that we were tackling an immense task. We have to face innumerable problems all over the world and are obliged to try and specialize on particular issues. Amnesty already exists to help those imprisoned for consciousness' sake or unjustly detained for their opinions, though we ask supporters of Amnesty and the NCLL to look into the case of Alan Barlow, now in prison and refused bail solely because a police officer disliked his expressed opinions. Our aim has been twofold: to help political prisoners, especially in Franco's Spain, who had fought to resist the Franco dictatorship, and to help the work of the resistance movement in Spain. We now realize that many, especially pacifists and humanitarians who would have supported the former aim, have been reluctant to assist us because of the fear that funds would be used to assist the violent resistance. For this reason, we are dividing our work, and this decentralization will help us to cut out overhead costs of postage, etc., which, becoming crippling, it will also show wider solidarity and enables parcels to get through. In future, we ask all sympathizers with those suffering in Spanish prisons to send parcels direct to Spain. Elsewhere in this issue, we give details of how to do so. Current addresses may be had from us. We want to avoid becoming a charity. Everybody knows charities are rackets anyway. Send parcels direct from individuals and groups, and let the prisoners know that they are not forgotten. Even our Quaker friends will admit that those suffering 10 or 20 years in Spanish prisons for their resistance to Franco are not less worthy of support than those in prison merely by accident, who happen to have offended the dictatorship without doing anything about it, or those convicted of criminal offenses who were in it for the cash. I myself was very grateful for a stream of parcels which came to me during 3 years in a Spanish jail as a result of wide publicity which has not been given to many resistance fighters outside Spain, solely because they were Spaniards, anarchists, socialists, Peking line communists, and Basques, share their food and medical parcels from outside in a prisoner's commune. There needs to be no sectarianism in sending aid and succor to the victims of Franco's penal laws, running the gamut from left Catholic to anarcho-syndicalists, but excluding Christian Democrats, Moscow liners, and dissident phalangists who are not in the commune. So far as the work of resistance to Franco is concerned, we are asking friends and sympathizers to help us send material aid to the activist groups. With this issue, we are launching a special fund to enable us to finance directly the task of resistance against Franco. We have received many requests from militant groups, which we have been unable to do anything about, since up to now our funds have been low and earmarked for a special purpose. From now on, we ask our readers to take over the job of sending aid to prisoners. And such aid, coming locally, is more likely to get through and shows wider solidarity. The funds that we receive will go directly to actively supporting the groups that inside Spain and scattered elsewhere are about to make the breakthrough in the overthrow of the regime. The coming months are critical. Every open act of militant defiance now is a crack in the regime of the aging dictator. The issue now is no longer whether Franco can be overthrown, for what keeps him in power is solely the divided opinions as to what will happen next. The issue is, what will follow? Will it be a continuation of the dictatorship, perhaps in a worse form, perhaps under another party? Or will there be a breakthrough of the revolutionary forces? Every blow that is struck now against the Franco regime is a nail in its coffin, and also a warning to the next aspirant for power. The resistance movement lacks everything. It has no means of us collecting subscriptions. It cannot pass around the hat. It has for long been dependent on emigre groups, support which it has sometimes received and sometimes not. It needs duplicators and typewriters, no less than it needs incendiaries and guns. Far be it from us to break the law by suggesting that funds should be collected in this country to buy explosives, but the best way to get these into Spain is not by hitchhiking, and we would not like to see French railways being tricked of their just due in rail tickets. May I make a special appeal to the non-inconsiderable number of people who consider themselves libertarians at little cost to themselves. Usually the same people fork up money they cannot really afford, as attend demonstrations and carry on militant work and devote their time to revolutionary activity. Meanwhile, there are many who can easily afford to give large sums, who give such sums to phony charities and liberal causes and devote none of their time to revolutionary activity, who like to think of themselves as libertarians because it eases their consciences. It may even help their careers as they casually drop the correct phrases into broadcast talks or newspaper articles or around the pop world, or write the occasional learned, impartial comment on someone who spent their whole life in militant struggle. There is often little such people can do. But the struggle in Spain, about to break out as fiercely as ever, is your touchstone. If you fail now, at least have the grace to be silent henceforth. What Spain needs today is audacity. The audacity by which a conquered people get up and strikes the ruling class such a blow that it will never again repeat the atrocity of police state rule. It does not lack the people prepared to take the initiative at home and abroad. They are circumscribed by sheer lack of any funds not safely tucked away by bureaucrats, properly audited and never available. What the sympathizers with Spain lack is a concrete plan of action. In the events that will take place in Spain within the next year, the probability for action is there. Let us provide the sinews of battle. From Bulletin of the Anarchist Black Cross, Volume 1, Number 5, June 1969. Reprinted in Attendant Number 2, Chicago Solidarity Bookshop. Both the Special Appeal and the Aid to Spanish Prisoners are reprinted from the Anarchist Black Cross Bulletin. Write to the Anarchist Black Cross, 755 Fulham Road, London, SW6, England, for further information.
from the Roxy. Okay, I never must apply there. Anyway, said I only wanted well behaved, but when I think it doesn't work, I find the just fucking choice. Fuck em, trying to make my stand against what I feel is wrong with this land. Just sit there on their other feet asses, feeding off the sweat of less fortunate class. I'm from the Roxy. Okay, I never must apply there. Anyway, said I only wanted well behaved, but when I think it doesn't work, I find the just fucking choice. Fuck em, trying to make my stand against what I feel is wrong with this land. Just sit there on their other feet asses, feeding off the sweat of less fortunate class. Bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the 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 Roxy.
I'm not sure whether there's a conversation about that, but I can tell you the thought process at the time, which was that in 2015, we heard about this. We banned the developer, and we demanded that they delete all the data and stop using it, same with Cambridge Analytica. We actually don't appoint the independent fact checkers. They go through an independent organization called the Independent Fact Checking Network that has a rigorous standard for who they allow to serve as fact checkers.
Bad from the Roxy, okay, I never must apply there. Anyway, said I only wanted well behaved, but when I think it doesn't work, I find the dust back into it. Fuck em, trying to make my stand against what I feel is wrong with this land. Just sit there on their other feet asses, feeding off the sweat of less fortunate class. Bad from the Roxy, okay, I never must apply there. Anyway, said I only wanted well behaved, but when I think it doesn't work, I find the dust back into it. Fuck em, trying to make my stand against what I feel is wrong with this land. Just sit there on their other feet asses, feeding off the sweat of less fortunate class. Bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the Roxy, bad from the 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 Roxy.
Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today.
What is this? Just look at the door, Johnny. Look.
G.I. Joe!
Revolutionaries.